part of the problem just in America is too many abnormal things have been normalized. You know, whole communities not having clean water for years. That's just normal now. You know, all of our money being stolen and all of our money going from the bottom to the top. That's just the price of doing business here in America. And it's become normalized. It's become normalized that essentially big tech is rigging the entire information system to stuff your feed with Wolf Blitzer, Rachel Maddow, Anderson Cooper, Joe and Mika, and the rest of the usual suspects. And that should be scandalous. It was scandalous when they did it in 2017. It remains scandalous now. And I don't want to say too much, but I happen to know somebody that, lucky enough, literally got a meeting with people from YouTube. It's easier to get a meeting with the CIA than to get anyone from YouTube on the phone. And this person got a meeting recently with YouTube, and YouTube basically gave them a bunch of fucking bullshit. But the real key here is a very clear point. YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook, they all love to say, no, we're not publishers. We're platforms. We're platforms. We're not publishers. We're not editorial publishers. And they do that so that they won't be regulated. That's what Section 230, which, you know, Trump was tweeting, get rid of Section 230. I don't want to bore you with the details, but Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act basically gives YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all these platforms blanket immunity for anything published on their site. When I was smeared, if you remember, in 2017, and complete false accusation was made against me, the reason that when I tried to sue the Huffington Post for publishing that false accusation against me, the reason that I basically had to drop it was because the Section 230 law basically protects outlets like the Huffington Post, even if point blank defamation is published on their platforms. They could say, well, in my case, it was a blogger who wrote it, not a full-time employee. But the point is, why should YouTube get away with saying they're a platform and not a publisher if they're making decisions that publishers make? When YouTube decides we're going to elevate, and they said this publicly, they said we're going to elevate authoritative news. They literally said this. It's in a blog post. We're going to elevate authoritative news like CNN and Fox News. Yes, those are the outlets that they used. They left out the rest of it, which was, we're going to bury the rest of you. That's not a platform. That's a publisher. You're making an editorial decision that certain news is more trustworthy, while others, are borderline. If you want to make those decisions, then you should be regulated because you're no longer operating as a platform. You're operating as a publisher who's making editorial decisions. And you want to know who suffers the most here? Because yes, status quo. I'm just being very clear. Our revenue numbers from February and so far this month are the worst they've ever been on YouTube, including when we started. I think in February we might have made like $1,500 on YouTube, which is really bad. It's much less than we normally make. And this month we're down significantly. And why is this important? A, we can't survive with that. But B, who suffers the most? Is it status quo? No, it's Flint, Michigan. It's Jackson, Mississippi. It's Texas. It's all of the communities that we've gone because they already don't have anyone covering them. They already barely have eyeballs on their suffering, on the corruption, on the injustice. Already. The true nature and what's actually happening in America, community to community, has no news coverage. And now YouTube's going to bury the only channels that are actually providing that news coverage? You, the viewer, should be outraged about this. Not on behalf of me and status quo, because frankly, whether you like me or not everyone does, that's fine. This is not only about status quo. It's not only about Secular Talk or Jimmy Dore or any of these. It's about the entire system in the United Corporations of America. You cannot, let me take my glasses off to make a point. You cannot achieve big things legislatively. You cannot achieve big things socially. You cannot achieve big things in terms of a movement if the majority of people have no fucking idea what is going on. I always use my parents as an example. Anecdotal, but it's a good example. They both voted for Trump. They're not bad people. They're just very politically misinformed. Okay? And my dad watches a lot of Fox News. With that said, when they saw the videos that I was doing at Standing Rock, when they've seen the reporting that I've done in Flint, you know what their first response has always been to me? Why isn't this on CNN? Why doesn't like the New York Times cover this? Why is this happening and no one's talking about it? My parents are the typical reaction you will get. Most people, and I always say this, and a lot of people think I'm cheesy, most people in this country are actually not lacking compassion. Most people in this country have no fucking idea what's happening. That's the truth. And that's what I've learned traveling this country. Most people, when they find out, whether it's the water, whether it's police brutality, whether it's state governments being grossly corrupt, whether the police, when most people, even Republicans in a lot of cases, when they actually see what's happening, when they're actually informed, they ain't happy about it and they want change. But the truth is, they don't know about it. You want to know why? Because when we're live from a 1-year anniversary rally for Breonna Taylor's murder, we're getting 100 viewers. We have 108,000 subscribers. We got 120 viewers at the most for a 4-hour live stream. John was live for 4 hours. How are you supposed to get justice? How are you supposed to get change if nobody fucking knows what's going on? So, I don't know. You tell me, am I being dramatic? Because I got to tell you something. I'm tired of this being normalized. And if what I'm doing right now gets me kicked off YouTube, then so fucking be it. Because somebody's got to say it. Somebody's got to start screaming about this. I am sick of working 7 days a week and building this company from the ground up for YouTube and Silicon Valley overlords to bury this work. Because you're not just hurting me and you're not just hurting my viewers. You're hurting the country.